Hello, Robs. We're back with more new book arrivals. Number 220, motherfucking 7. Nathaniel Hawthorne, The Celestial Railroad, and Other Stories. As I've stated, I have not read anything by Hawthorne yet, and may never do so. But I bought this book even though it has some underlining and notation. Three different manga books. I was going to ask my child about them, but most of them, I think my child's given up on manga, except for drawing it. But everything I send is just, I don't know what that is. Or awesome sauce is all I get as a response. So I buy them just to hoard them now, in case I ever get a bookstore. Got a bunch of Anne Rice mass market paperbacks. I should have got the one that was. It looks like they got a little damage. What year are these? 80s? 97. So 25-year-old mass market paperbacks. And I will just add each one. Lasher, The Queen of the Damned, Taltus. The Witching Hour. Funny thing is, oh look, it has all the book one and the, what's this say, Mayfair Chronicles? Alright, so those all three go together. Author of Marek, Vampire Armand, and then Belinda, writing as Anne Rampling. Oh my God, my kid must hear me. Text. When I went there to this same thrift store on Monday evening, they had none of these books, so they all must have arrived yesterday. So, Homer, the Iliad. Obviously, I already have a copy of this, maybe 2 or 3, but this is a nice mass market paperback with a cool little piece of art on the cover. Look at the horse. Wow. Chasing the Dragon. The true story of how one woman's faith resulted in the conversion of hundreds of drug addicts, prostitutes, and hardened criminals in Hong Kong's infamous walled city. Story is fact, but for obvious reasons, some names have been changed. What year is this? 80? 82. Servant Books, Ann Arbor, Michigan. And there's that Agape Books, Portland, Oregon. The Amityville Horror, a true story by Jay Anson, the phenomenal bestseller that stunned the country. Never read this book, obviously. I've seen the movies, the 1978. I don't know if I have this cover. Yeah, I do, because I remember the Devil's Tale. 28 Days of Terror in a House Possessed by Evil Spirits. The psychic phenomena that followed created the most terrifying experience the Lutz family had ever encountered. The Tempest by Billy Shakespeare. Don't like this. I don't know what kind of tag this is. Looks like a date. Mermaids. Or at least one mermaid. What is she holding? What is she holding, bruv? What is in her hand? Can of beer? What the hell's she holding? Does look like a can of beer. I don't know what that is. She's gonna hit him in the head with it. Don't know. It looks like Budweiser. The Arm of the Starfish by Madeline. How do you say the name? Langle or Langle? There's the original receipt from February 8th, 1981. This book's at least 43 years old. I used to follow a channel where this one lady loved this author. But I stopped following because she would not update for a year and then wouldn't comment. Listen, if I'm going to follow your channel, you're at least going to respond. I got to sneeze. The Other 637 Best Things Anybody Ever Said by Robert Byrne. Let's go to 278. Eat as much as you like, just don't swallow it. Put a pot of chili on the stove to simmer. Let it simmer. Meanwhile, broil a good steak. Eat the steak. Let the chili simmer. Ignore it. That's hilarious. Self-abuse is the most certain road to the grave. The World is Like That by Kathleen Norris. I have some book by her. I think it has something Heaven in the title. Her books aren't worth very much. She was like I don't know what even to call her. Jeanette Ogie, or however you say that name. 1939? Or is it 29? That's 39. 40. By Kathleen Norris. What though the sky be thick with diamond stars, all dull, all pale, all fade the shadows, when, bold among Venus, Jupiter, and Mars, a small new planet swims into our ken. Jocelyn Britton was always the last to leave the office. Pretty cool little embossment. Collier. The Forgotten Door. This is one of those scholastic books, but this one's got a decent premise to it. Who is the strange boy who can talk to animals and read people's minds? Where does he come from? The boy, I think it's John, Jon, or is it? Yeah, Jon, has lost his memory and does not know. He only knows that he has fallen through the forgotten door to the strange planet Earth, and that he is in great danger. Soon the family who befriends him is in great danger, too. There is very little time left. John must find the secret way back to his planet before it's too late. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is just a cheap, brand new edition. Newer edition. 25 cents. I couldn't pass it up. Last time I bought a copy of Frankenstein. It was at that same store for 25 cents. And the girl there said, I've always wanted to read this. Speaking of which, when I picked up this book, and pretty sure I already have a copy of this, and I was going to check Libib, to see if I did have this book, and I realized it has no ISBN on the back to scan. But as I was looking at my phone, because I opened the app, and guess what my step count was when I found this book? 6666. 666. So I figured it was a sign I better get another copy. The Atrocities by Jeremy C. Shipp. This is an uncorrected proof. I didn't see many people, or I didn't see many of these copies on eBay. But I doubt the book's worth anything, but it does say it's a gothic fantasy of a young ghost's education. So I'm not sure if it's young adult or fairy goth or just nonsense. But it's got a castle on it. It looks scary. Thank God ahead of time. The life and spirituality of Solanus Casey. He was a Capuchin monk who came to Detroit and made a name for himself. I have 5 or 6 books on the guy, but I really don't know anything about him. I believe he performed some kind of miracle. And I think I read about it on the back of the last book that I bought. I think he healed somebody. I don't know. Can't recall. Detroit. Chapter 5. When he arrived in Detroit, Solanus found that St. Bonaventure's was a novitiate, a friary, and the provincialate. None involved many people coming to the door from the outside. Consequently, the front office was quite quiet. The head porter, Brother Francis Spruck, had enough time in his hands that he had the added job of being habit maker and tailor for the growing province. At that time, the province had 176 solemnly professed friars and 10 friaries, ranging from Wisconsin and Michigan to New York. Ernie Harwell's Diamond Gems. Ernie Harwell was a long-time radio announcer for the Detroit Tigers, and you can see he signed the book. He was, or is, a Hall of Famer, so that gives value to the book, although I believe there is some water damage right here. Yes, there is. So that takes away some of it, but the book is in otherwise great condition and shall be sold. Although at some point I'll have to keep a copy of this. Although I'd say I find one at least once or twice a year. Most of them are signed because he would sign for just about anybody because he was actually a nice guy. Now in his 52nd year, 52 years he was an announcer. Well, more than that, but anyway, I'll sell that book. Guy was a great announcer. If you're into baseball. Donald Hall, The Town of Hill. As with most poetry books, they're very short and they don't sell any copies. And the ones they do sell, nobody really wants besides other academics, which is what most poets are. Poem with one fact. At pet stores in Detroit, you can buy frozen rats for 75 cents a piece to feed your pet boa constrictor back home in Grosse Pointe or in Grosse Pointe Park, while the free nation of rats in Detroit emerges from alleys behind pet shops, from cellars and junked cars, and gathers to flow at twilight like a river the color of pavement, and crawls over bedrooms and groceries and through broken school windows to eat the crayon from drawings of rats. And no one in Detroit understands how rats are delicious in Dearborn. If only we could communicate. If only the boa constrictors of Southfield would slither down I-94, turn north on the Lodge Expressway, and head for 8th Street to eat out for a change. Instead, tomorrow, a man from Birmingham enters a pet shop in Detroit to buy a frozen German Shepherd for $6.50 to feed his pet cheetah guarding the compound at home. And a woman from Bloomfield Hills with a refrigerated Buick wagon buys a frozen police department Morgan for $37 for her daughter who loves horses. Oh, they arrive all day in their locked cars, buying schoolyards, bridges, buses, churches, and ethnic festivals. They buy a frozen Texaco station for $84.50. to feed an imported London taxi in Huntington Woods. They buy Tiger Stadium frozen to feed to the Little League and Gross Ill. They buy J.L. Hudson's, the Fisher Building, the Chrysler Freeway, the Detroit Institute of the Arts, Greektown, Cobo Hall, and the Tri-City Bucks roller derby team. They bring everything home, frozen solid as pig iron, to the 6-car garages of Harper Woods, Grosse Pointe Woods, Farmington, Grosse Pointe Farms, Troy, and Grosse Arbor. And they ingest everything and fall asleep and lie coiled in the sun while the city thaws in the stomach and slides to the small intestine, where enzymes break down molecules of protein to amino acids which enter the cold bloodstream. I don't know what the fuck that's about, but all right. A Burst of Light and Other Essays by Audre Lorde. Don't know why there's no dust jacket for this, but this book actually has some value. 2017. Don't really remember much that I learned about Audre Lorde, so I won't really comment because I don't really know. Spiritual Midwifery, 3rd edition by Anna Mae Gaskin, revised for the 90s. Obviously, a midwife is a person who helps you bring... What the hell is this kissing about? Is that going on during the... Oh, he's holding her boobs, too. Why the hell is that in a book? Is he kissing her while she's having the baby? Don't understand. It's a weird photo to include in a book on childbearing. Pre-childbearing, yes. John and Yoko, here they are. Jim Morrison. Jesus, what's going on? I don't understand this fucking book. Midwife or mid-fuckery. Clara, Mrs. Henry Ford by Ford R. Byram. I already have a copy of this, so I'm not sure why I bought another other than I thought it was worth something, but it's worth like $5, so. The fact that it weighs 3.8 pounds means it's not really sellable, so I should probably not buy any more. Lastly, but not leastly, Political Risk, Condoleezza Rice and Amy B. Ziegart, How Businesses and Organizations Can Anticipate Global Insecurity. Not that I care about that subject, but Condoleezza did sign it, and since she was a public official, she has some value with her name attached to a book, though I assume that will shrink over the years when the people who recall who the hell she was pass away. Do intend on selling this. How old is Condoleezza Rice? Amy Ziegart. Anyway, that's all. 19 minutes of your life wasted, bruv. Goodbye.